Very well. I'll call this special regional council meeting to order. Please be advised that today's meeting is being recorded and streamed on a publicly accessible website, and please respect some social distancing here today. Can I get a motion, please, to adopt the agenda? Moved by Councillor Soules, seconded by Councillor Penny. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Motion's carried. Business arising, outstanding items, coronavirus update. Mr. Barry.
Thank you, Mayor. Well, has been the norm lately. We continue to adjust regularly based on changing times and how things are continuing to evolve. As part of our business continuity planning, which we continue to work on, the Northern Rockies Fire Rescue is in the process of changing the shifting schedule to reduce the potential exposure over at the hall. It's just to reduce the amount of double up of the firefighters and the shift out. So basically, they'll be working longer hours and having just to reduce the amount of potential exposure there. In terms of the service level, same service level still provided to the community as an essential service. Additionally, the airport and the public works staff, which would include, of course, the water and the sewer component, are in the process of making additional changes to their scheduling with the purpose of reducing exposure. So there's some shifting changes within that. Again, it's all around reducing exposure and to be able to continue providing the essential services that we're required to provide to the public. And with that said, too, we also have some other employees that are starting to migrate to work remotely to mitigate exposures and so we can continue providing those services as we navigate through the issues. We're in the process of providing some employee workshop training that's been set up by the BC Municipal Safety Association. It's to help employees to deal with stress during the COVID pandemic, especially when you're working and required to work where we provide services. So we're putting our employees through that right now who are continuing to work. It's part of some of the orders and the direction that's been handed down through the province, in this case, WorkSafe BC. Our exposure control plan has been completed, as was a requirement by WorkSafe BC. And also we're continuing to work with the affected staff who have been or are in the process of being displaced as we continue to go through this process. Other than that, we continue to receive information and direction and clarity from the province. There was some clarity in relation to the bylaw enforcement component that was provided by the province this week that they changed a little bit versus the direction they originally had last week. BC Hydro provided some initiatives that they have in place currently, which of course we've included and have on our website for links around some relief to some of the bills. And of course, and there was some information provided to us regarding support for vulnerable populations. And that's about it in terms of any major updates. Besides, of course, we are continuing the many meetings and calls and direction and information that continues to be handed down and provided as everyone deals with the evolution of this. So.
Okay, thank you. This week as well, I was on a conference call with Minister of Municipal Affairs, Selena Robinson, where we discussed different issues that related to the municipality, and further on a conference call with Kathy Aldridge and Deputy Minister of Health regarding steps they were taking surrounding camps. So those were both good meetings and provided a platform for municipalities to discuss things with the provincial government about what was going on the ground. Are there any questions for Mr. Barry regarding the COVID-19 update? Very well.
Councillor Goring here.
Councillor Goring, go ahead.
Would it be possible to make sure that the not-for-profits that the municipality financially supports that we ensure that they get the information that they may be eligible for the 75% top up for wages. And they probably all know, but I just want to ensure that that information, that they are aware of it and that they can look into it to see if they're eligible or not.
Absolutely, Councillor Gerwin. We'll. I think it's already been done, but we'll confirm. We'll confirm if it has or hasn't, and if not, then ensure it gets done.
Great, because I know it's on our website, so I just want to make sure that they know.
In regards to the not-for-profits, the Community Roundtable is going to be holding weekly meetings via Zoom, and I would certainly pass that on to them as well. Thank you, Councillor Gerwin. New business items arising, electronic meetings, participation options for discussion. Mr. Barry?
Ross is going to speak to this, Mayor.
Mr. Coupé.
Thank you, Mayor. So as we've been testing with council, looking at a potential different option for streaming meetings, especially with more and more councillors not being in the chamber, this item's just been added to the agenda to see if council wishes to discuss or consider Zoom moving forward for either these types, all types, whatever council wishes to look at, potentially using a different way to record, just to meet as well as to record council meetings. So it's really up to council, whatever path forward you wish to do.
Councillor Penny.
I'd just like to say, after trying that out this morning with Councillor Gerwin and Mayor, Councillor Dolan, Scott there, I feel pretty comfortable moving forward with using Zoom. I think it's very difficult to have just the three of us here in the chambers and the others on the phone. It just makes interactions more difficult. I think it'll be a lot easier using that platform.
Any other comments?
Councillor Roper.
Councillor Roper, go ahead.
Go ahead, Councillor Andrews. Okay, thank you. My only concern with Zoom is the popularity that it keeps gaining. And if we get comfortable and used to using it, and then it gets overloaded and we're not able to use it anymore, I would like to see us to actually use Zoom, but also look at other options as well, just in case we need another platform.
If we were holding a council meeting, Mr. Coupé, and for some reason the Zoom failed, do we have a backup plan?
So we could certainly look at other options, as well as we're using a alternate form right now. So yeah, there's that could, if you say Zoom wasn't working, you could switch to the pragmatic conferencing system. You wouldn't get the same video, but you'd still have that. And then if there's any other options council wishes us to look at, we can do that as well.
Councillor Gerwin here.
Go ahead.
I think that that's a really great idea, just because of the popularity, but also the fact that I forget what you call it, but when somebody like bombs into your meeting and has not nice images and profanity, and I know Zoom is working on trying to get that to stop, but it is taking place, and we are considering using it for in-camera too. So if there is a platform that is more secure, I don't know that there is, but I like the idea of continuing to look around if staff have the capacity to do that.
Okay. But I take it that...
Councillor Roper here.
Councillor Roper, go ahead.
I was going to say before, my only concern with Zoom right now are the privacy concerns. Things up in the air that are not too sure of. So while I'm in favor of using Zoom for public meetings, I think we should use some sort of alternative for the in-camera. We just don't know where that information is going and who has access to it.
Very well. So I think I hear councillors wanting our staff to look into other options as well as Zoom for the meetings. I'm going to go back to the more general question here of whether council is in favor of the meetings using electronic participation in general. Councillor Penny?
I would make a motion that we'd move special and regular open meetings to the Zoom platform if we wanted to make another motion for closed meetings, so we have the ability to change that going forward. But for now, I'd make a motion that we'd switch all the regular and special meetings to Zoom platform.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by...
Second that.
Very well. We have a seconder. All those in favor?
Can I make a comment first, please, Councillor Andrews?
Say that again, Councillor Andrews?
I just wanted to make a comment on the motion first, if that would be okay.
Sure, go ahead.
I was just wondering if we should leave it open as opposed to only using Zoom. We can definitely have preference lended to Zoom in the motion, but instead of specifically stating to use only Zoom, we should have it open to other platforms as well, just in case something happens with Zoom. We don't have to have another motion to allow it.
Okay, I think what we're looking at here is a motion for electronic meeting participation options, and Zoom is one of those options. But I believe we're looking at in general having the ability to have those meetings using electronic participation. Mr. Coupe, would you like to speak to that?
Absolutely. So either we can make an amendment, or if Councillor Penny, the intention of the motion was to include that Zoom could be one option, to be like an approved option amongst others, then you would, I think, get what Councillor Andrews is after.
Yes, that's exactly what I'd go with there. Zoom for now with all.
Second would work on that as well.
Okay. Very well. So we have an amendment to the motion then. Councillor Penny has amended his motion to speak mainly to electronic meeting participation and Zoom being one option of many. And we have a seconder, Councillor Souls. Can I ask for any comment? Very well. I'll call the question. All those in favor?
Aye.
Very well. Passes unanimously. Moving on to the potential regular meeting schedule amendments for discussion. Oh, Mr. Coupe.
So sorry, Mayor. So we passed the amendment. We just now need to have a
Vote on the motion.
The actual motion.
Very well. I'll call the question on the motion. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 And that,
Did we want to have more discussion on what we go forward with closed meetings? Are we going to continue with those with video, or would we rather just stick to the pragmatic system?
Mr. Coupe, where are we sitting now with the changes to our bylaws, the changes to the provincial regulations as far as in-camera goes?
So in camera, you can, again, as we chatted at the last, I think, regular meeting, council can make whatever decisions they want. Essentially, those parts of your bylaw have been suspended in terms of not permitting things. So if council wishes to, again, right now council is continuing to do or to permit electronic participation in camera meetings. So you can continue to do that. Just in terms of what you wish, what kind of system you wish to use, you just need to do that by resolution. You don't need to change the bylaw at all for that.
Very well. We have some discussion on whether or not we'll allow the video conferencing on in-camera meetings.
Councillor Gerling here.
Go ahead.
I'm really struggling to hear people using the platform that we're currently on. I, too, have a lot of concerns around in-camera meetings, videoing, but this format, it's not very conducive at all to meeting quality for myself. So I'm not sure whether that comment is helpful or not, but I have to say that it seems to me that the longer we're using Pragmatic, the less the quality of the sound is going down, at least on my end. So I find that this is very problematic.
Councillor Gerwin, then would you be more in favor of allowing the video conferencing for in-camera then?
Well, I mean, I've done 2 tests on the video conference, and I've used video conference before in my other lives, but I am very concerned with the privacy as well. And that's why I spoke earlier about perhaps there is another platform out there that is more secure. I don't know. But I'm really torn. I'm of 2 minds, because the video platform is way more conducive. I think we'll come to better decisions when we can at least see each other, although it virtually, but and also the sound quality is just 100% better than what I'm experiencing over Pragmatic. So yeah, I'm really of two minds on the best way forward.
Mr. Barry.
Thanks, Mayor. So I'm not sure if the issue that we're experiencing today is related to actual Pragmatic as from a conferencing system, or in terms of the actual platform, or if the issue is with our system right here. Because, for instance, Councillor Growing's coming in very clear on our end. And obviously there's concerns around the audio quality on the other end. There might be an option that if council wishes, and as we look, because there might be challenges trying to find an alternative video platform that we would be comfortable that we would be comfortable that's secure or more secure than, say, Zoom. We're not obviously we don't really have any ideas what the current issues with Zoom are, besides obviously there's this bombing in terms of people showing up in these meetings that Councillor Grooming expressed. An option might be is considering that after today, Councillor Penny has indicated that he'll be attending remotely, either through video or whatever mechanism we use. The idea might be that we can, if council wishes, until we find or investigate other options from a video perspective that we could use or try the Pragmatic, but the Pragmatic not with this particular setup with the mics and everything. Because you can use the Pragmatic, you can dial in the Pragmatic with a home phone or your cell phone or similar. So instead of having to use, I think the challenge we possibly are having today might be with our system that we have in here in council chambers, versus if we were all able to dial in with a headset on, for example, on our cell phones or a personal phone. So that might be an idea for moving forward for the in-camera meetings anyway.
Councillor Souls.
Well, I think the in-camera platforms are always, no matter what we use, even when we're all together in the room and we close the doors and so on, the measures we take are risk management measures, and none of them are completely secure if people don't want them to be. There's always ways, as you can have someone listening outside the door and not know they're there. It could happen. So I think that there is a measure. We could look at this from the point of view of a risk management perspective, and not all in-camera meetings are the same. Some are there for legislated reasons that are privately held, but then we rise and report, and we could do a bit of a triage, and our staff could in some things, and we've used our emails as a way of communicating too. And
excuse me, Councillor Souls, maybe can you get closer to the mic or something? I'm just not able to hear you.
Wow, I'm really close. I'll do the rock star thing here, and I'll get it right close. So the risk management idea is one. We could have the more sensitive issues that are. How do you determine what's more sensitive? That's still part of staff's work, and the ones that really are have to be very quiet. We can do email work. That's worked in the past. Of course, it doesn't give an in-person viewpoint, but I think that there's some risk we're going to have to take anyway. And so, in the experience of everyone here who has used Zoom for other things. Have you been interrupted with on that platform in other meetings? Like, have you experienced that?
Councillor Souls has a question. Has anybody ever been interrupted in a meeting on the Zoom platform? Okay. One thing I'm going to say is that these measures are temporary measures, and hopefully we will be meeting, at the latest maybe the end of May. We don't know what the date is of this self-isolation and COVID-19, but I'm hoping that these measures are somewhat temporary for council. We can return to our original way of meeting at some later date. I think for the interim, if we have to use Zoom or some other platform and it's not perfect, we'll just have to get by with that and muddle through somehow. I find the Zoom platform is good. I also find the pragmatic platform is good, except that we seem to have some difficulties today with some connections. And that's reasonable when you think that how overloaded their systems are. But I'm hoping that we could probably get through this in the short term, and then in a month or two return to our normal way of doing business. Councillor Penny, did you have something? No? Very well. I guess I'm going to ask for a motion that we, if there's no other comments on this, I'm going to ask for a motion that we allow video conferencing for our in-camera meetings. I'll move that, and I'll look for a seconder. Seconded by Councillor Souls. Very well. All those in favor of moving to a video platform for in-camera? Any opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? Very well. That carries unanimously. Potential for regular meeting schedule amendments. Who would like to speak to this, Mr. Barry?
Roswell, Mr. Cookie. Well,
Thank you, Mayor. So, following on now that council has approved video conferencing. Now that council has approved video conferencing, one of the other items that has been chatted about informally with different council members was whether or not council wished to continue holding regular meetings, given that there are 2 special meetings per week currently being held, and most regular business has been either delayed or put off, and most of the focus put on the COVID-19. So just to open it up for council's discussion, council does have the ability to cancel regular meetings with a resolution, but it's really up to council whether or not you wish to do so.
Mr. Penny.
I feel that the 2 meetings a week that we're having right now during the day instead of evenings should be ample to provide us with the time that we need to do anything that we would normally do in our every 2-week meeting. So, and to take a little bit of load off staff to not have to be in here for evening meetings on a Monday. They're already overloaded, so.
And I think our meetings twice a week here, our workload is less for council. These are shorter meetings because the important work of staff is being directed towards things that are related to COVID-19. So I have no problem removing or suspending the council meetings, the regularly scheduled council meetings, and just going to the special council meetings twice a week. Are there any other comments? Very well, I'll ask for a motion then. Moved by Councillor Penny. Seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Tourism Advisory Committee meeting postponement. I'm sorry.
Sorry, Mayor, just a couple of follow-up questions. So just to confirm, the resolution then is to cancel the next regular council meeting or regular council meetings for until council wishes to start up again?
My motion would be to suspend regular council meetings as long as we continue with the 2 weekly special meetings.
Perfect, thank you.
Tourism Advisory Committee meetings postponement. Councillor Penny.
Yes, so the Tourism Advisory Committee has decided to suspend meetings for the next 3 months and await to see the outcome of COVID-19 and go forward from there. But in doing so, we also request that we can make an amendment to the terms of reference for at least 2020 year. Because currently it says we need to hold 12 meetings, a minimum of 12 meetings a year. And we just don't want to see ourselves have to hold these 3 extra meetings next fall or whatever. So.
Mr. Coupe, is that a resolution of council or is that a direction of the mayor?
That is a resolution of council.
Very well. You would make that motion then?
I would make that motion that we amend the terms of reference for the 2020 year to allow us to have less than 12 meetings. We have no idea right now. Currently, we'd still be striving for 9 meetings this year because we've only suspended for 3 months, and I could come back at a later date once we make a decision for any further reductions.
Mr. Coupe, would reduction in the number of meetings be sufficient or do you need a number?
No, all council needs to do, and there's actually on the agendas, there's a draft resolution if council wishes to use that. We just need council to, if they wish to, waive that particular requirement in the terms of reference.
Very well. And Councillor Penny, you're making that motion?
Yes, I am.
I'll second that. Any comment? Very well. I'll call the question then. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Very well. I'll ask for a motion to, Mr. Coupe?
Sorry, Mayor, I wasn't quick enough on the hop after the item 4.2 on the agenda. I have a couple of other related quick questions for council. So one of the things that we're doing now that we're moving to video conferencing and not doing the regular meetings, I just wanted to make sure it's okay with council. We're going to, just to limit the amount of potential exposure, we're going to, if it's all right with council, stop printing hard copies of the agenda, aside from the item that we paste in our window as required under our bylaw. If council's okay with to use just electronic, it's just one less potential route of infection between us to you. So unless there's any concerns with that, we'll make that step.
Do you need a resolution of council?
It doesn't. It never hurts.
Very well. Mr. Souls, would you like to make that resolution?
I have a question.
Councillor Penny, or Councillor Goering, sorry.
So that would mean no paper copies of anything, so admin reports, anything like that, none of that will be paper anymore? Is that what you're asking for?
Yes. So anything that any of the agenda packages, unless council requested it or needed to use the printer. So I mean, we'd never shut it down completely. If council's like, my computer crashed, I need to get something. Governance requires the ability to gather that. So if council still needed something, we could do that. But just as a matter of course, to stop printing the documents.
Mr. Barry.
Just to add to that, what we're looking to do is if the opportunity is there and not required, then not print something. It just reduces that exposure. As Ross said, I mean, if there's a request of council or specific councillors, so if there's an admin report that they would like printed or admin reports, we can still do so, and we do have safe operating procedures in place and guidelines in terms of how to mitigate that exposure. It's just we throughout the discussed as a group as we work through our continuity processes is if we don't print anything and if we do, it eliminates the exposure, and then if council does wish something or need something printed, we can absolutely do so or make arrangements to have it done. It's not that we wouldn't do it, it's just throwing out that the opportunity is there that we can reduce it, that's all.
Councillor Penny.
I really like the idea. Myself, personally, I'm going to limit my exposure, not my exposure as such, but myself exposing anybody inside this building because my business is still currently operational. So that's why I was going to make the choice to not come personally to meetings anymore, and not coming in to pick up packages would be great on my end. I'd rather just print them off myself.
Very well. Any other comments, please? Hearing none. Mr. Coupe, where did we leave off with the resolutions?
I don't believe any resolution had been made
Okay.
yet.
Councillor Penny, would you like to make that resolution?
Yes, I'll make that motion that we instruct staff to no longer print any of the packages for meetings unless requested by individual councillors.
Do I have a seconder? Seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor?
Aye. Aye.
Any opposed? Motion is carried. Mr. Coupe, anything else?
One thing just to get council to think about, I'm not asking for a decision today, but perhaps at the next meeting, to kind of give video conferencing a chance, to look at potentially moving to consider moving towards decision-based minutes as opposed to discussion-based minutes. Just decision-based minutes would cut out the summaries of discussion that are currently in there, and would instead just record the decisions of council. So not that a decision would need to be made on that, but just something to think about, perhaps once you've had a chance to watch what the video streaming would look like.
Councillor Penny.
We'll be recording all these meetings as well, right? Any Zoom meetings or whatever other platform we use. So I guess they could double as the minutes if anybody wanted to go back and double check what was said.
Mr. Coupe, minutes of meetings. The minutes of the meetings are the official record of the meetings rather than the video.
Yes, that is correct.
Okay. All right. Is there any other questions, councillors? Very well.
Councillor Roper here.
Go ahead.
I like this idea. Anything that we can do to take the burden off of our staff right now would be great. I see it as a temporary measure, but being as we're recording these meetings already, we'll have the full context of the meetings. So if this can save some time for our staff, I think it's a great idea.
Thank you, Councillor Roper. Any other discussion? Any other comments on this? Very well. I'm going to ask for a motion then to adjourn this meeting.
Councillor Penny, so moved.
Moved by Councillor Penny, seconded by Councillor Souls. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? We are adjourned.